Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, family, to Tea Time Podcast by Atiya J. This is your self-help, spiritual podcast, uplifting topics we all love to avoid, but we definitely need to conquer. Tea Time is your moment to pause, listen, and absorb what is soothing to you. I'm Atiya J, aka Atiya, a certified holistic life coach, and this idea was sparked by my passion to help others discover their latent potential, purpose, and significance, especially if you are one who feels overlooked, alone, or forgotten. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. I see you and I feel you. Welcome to Tea Time Podcast. Enjoy the tea. But there was a resource I found I want to share with you by Brene Brown on her website. And it was a list of 30 core emotions. So I just wanted to, we can kind of like popcorn it. I'll read one out and then you just tell me what you think of it. But before that, you have music on your podcast. Every episode has some music in the background and the intro. Tell me about your relationship with music, because I'm a music head.
Girl, I actually have intentionally stopped listening to music that I usually listen to. So I will only put songs as little background to my podcast. But in general, music was my way of expressing my emotions. There are songs that relate to memories and emotions and so much. So even though I don't listen to music like I used to, I will still tell somebody drop an emotion. I'll tell you a song. It's funny when I used to be upset, a boy made me mad or something. I love old school R&B. So Love Don't Love Nobody, all by the Spinners. That used to be the song I would listen to when I was feeling some type of way. When Somebody Loves You Back by Teddy Pendergrass. That's my jam. Soca music gives me this out of body experience. So even though I don't listen to music anymore, it was tapping into them emotions. Whew, yeah.
I feel you. I was the opposite route. When I was deep into music, it was the Paramore, it was the Evanescence, and I went the rock route in order to get the anger out and the I probably experienced depression and loneliness as well when I was very young, and I would rock out all the time.
That era for me, so because I'm older than you, that era for me was 2000, between 2006 and 2007. I remember that my darkest moments, my emo moments, were definitely when I was at the end of my freshman year of high school into my 10th grade year. When I look back at my old poetry, it was very, very dark and gothic and very emo. And I remember enjoying Paramore, is that right? And really dressing very emo at that time. So
thanks.
I had my phase too.
Right? Shoot.
I did.
But the Super Bowl performance, the Super Bowl halftime, did you watch that?
I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. I don't even know what I was doing on Sunday. But I heard that it was pretty good.
Yo, you got to just watch the performance. Because I don't watch sports. And I didn't watch the Super Bowl because my husband's team wasn't in it. But you got to watch the halftime show.
Because they played the oldies but goldies. I heard In the Club. What did Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg sing?
They did Dre Day. That's the song, right? Yeah, the song's from
because Dre Day got Eminem on it. Nowadays, Eminem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then what did Mary J. Blige do?
Mary J. what? No More Pain.
Okay.
Mary J. is my girl.
Yo, I cannot think of my childhood and not think of the My Life album. My mom listened to the My Life album. I would have to say my mom is the reason why music was so impactful to me, because my mom was a serious hip hop head. And so music was just a part of my upbringing.
Yeah, same here. I remember I got older. She had her library of CDs. And when I got older, I got my library membership. I would go to the library, swipe my card, get 20 CDs, burn them, bring them right back, and make my mix CDs.
Boy, those were the days, those mixed CDs. Man,
great time.
Used to pay people like $10 for a CD. I still have my iPod from 2009.
Me
and
too.
I can't get the music off of that because the software differences and stuff, but I hold on to it with dear life because it has songs on it that you just had to be on MySpace to get.
Facts. Nah, I feel you. But let's jump into this popcorn.
Okay.
Let me find it. Here it is. And I'm gonna put it in the chat so you can look at it too. And you can popcorn as well. This is Brene Brown's list of core emotions. That's what she said.
Of the core emotions. Okay, I already see someone here that I've used in my language recently.
Yeah, which one? Say the first one.
Definitely I've talked about belonging, and that's how it relates to trying to build an online business on social media. I've realized that being an entrepreneur really tapped into a childhood wound of wanting to feel a sense of belonging. Yeah. I definitely
feel that. Yeah, I feel that a lot. When you post something and you work hard on it and it goes up and it gets 1 like and then you like it from your other account.
I ain't done that yet. I haven't done that yet. My actual podcast account is deactivated, but that sounds like. But I will tell you something I have done. When I'm trying to do market research on my story, I will like fill out one of them ask me a question box and just ask my own self a question and then post it, hoping that someone sees like, oh, somebody is engaging, let me do it, and it has worked.
See, because everyone on Instagram, they are followers. If you're looking at something, you're a follower. So when you show, look, somebody else answered, they on it too. I do that as well. Shoot. But let's see. Humiliation.
Ooh, when's the last time you felt humiliated?
Ooh. I actually have a fun one. I was on a date with my husband before we were married, and we were at this spot with karaoke, and he's a singer, and I used to be able to carry a tune very well. Now I'm just like, when I'm on the right note, I'm on the right note. And we're singing this Christmas, but the Chris Brown version, because Chris Brown is my favorite singer, one of them. And I'm singing it, it's going well, and I think I just lose it towards the end, and I just start going off, and I'm singing, and nobody's like, clowning me or anything, but in my head I sound horrible. To me, I sound like, this Christmas. And then I put the mic down and I'm done, and everybody's clapping in there, and then he's like, oh, you sound great, love, you sound great. So every time I'm singing now and he says I sound good, I do not believe him. Because in my head, I was humiliated in front of that whole place.
Kind of reminds you of like when you have the headphones in and you're listening to a song, you think you sound like the artist, but then when you kind of test yourself by recording yourself and you play it back, you're like, oh no, I was not even close. I have done that many a times. Like I sing around my house and I'm like, wow. My husband said, babe, you sound so good. I'm like, I actually do sound pretty good, but like when I'm listening to trying to, mimic other artists, don't sound close at all.
Facts.
A word that jumps out to me is lonely, and I've literally been feeling lonely lately because it will be 2 years that I moved out here to Delaware. I don't have friends. I don't have a sense of community because COVID is still going on. And so I have been fighting to push through feelings of loneliness because I do spend when I first moved here, I was working from home. And even though I'm not, working at my former employer, I'm still at home. So that desire to engage with humans outside of a telephone, I definitely feel like lonely. And that's actually one of the reasons why I got my therapist, is to really figure out ways to cope through that instead of allowing that lonely cloud to weigh heavy on me. So yeah, that's definitely a word I've been using lately. Lonely. I'm so lonely.
I've been lonely a lot. I like being alone, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been lonely I haven't been able to be lonely in a while, which might be good or bad because I'm an introvert. So I like feeling that sometimes.
Yeah.
But when I was young, when I would sit there with Paramore and especially Evanescence, those days, I was lonely. I felt like nobody could hear me, nobody was listening. I wasn't able to leave my house when I wanted. So it was really up to the whims of what my sisters and my mom wanted in the house a lot, in my head. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been lonely. Right now, I can't be lonely. Right
That
now.
baby.
You with that baby, and she's so much love, my little stuffed animal.
Oh, she's really, really cute.
Thank you.
She's really cute. When I see her little smile, I'm just like, oh, so cute.
Thank you.
Something,
so much.
2 words on this list that I help my clients to overcome are feelings of shame and guilt. That feeling of shame and guilt prohibits us from allowing ourselves to feel, and it creates this barrier where we start to limit ourselves and start to, not believe that we actually have the go within and the propensity to do whatever it is that we want to do. So I'm really passionate about helping like Black women specifically, but like women of color as well, to break through that feeling of shame and guilt. Because when you are able to say, you know what, this happened to me, I made these mistakes, but you know what, it didn't destroy me. If anything, it guided me to, where I need to be right now. And I'm gonna own that. I'm gonna own my story. Like, oh my gosh, the courage, the conviction that opens up so many doors. So like, yeah, shame and guilt, those 2 words I see on this list is something that I'm trying to eradicate, not just in myself, but with my clients.
I love that. That's freeing. Thinking about that being gone. Yeah. The whole world is open to you. You don't have to worry about that chain holding you back.
Facts. Because people talk a good talk when it comes to redemption, but when people have literally redeemed themselves, for some reason society wants to keep reminding us of our failures, of our mistakes, what happened to us. It's like, okay, I don't live there no more. I done moved somewhere else. I'm different now. I've learned. Stop reminding me of my past. Like, yeah, I own it. What's up?
My life coach taught me the devil is a lie.
Killer. Exactly.
Shoot, that's real. I didn't see that as an emotion. When I think judgment, it's the emotional side. When I think about it, is the judgment we have on ourselves, maybe tied to shame and guilt too. When we attribute what we view of somebody or ourselves as what our value is and our worth is, perhaps that's the emotional side of it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like, I kind of glanced over judgment, but just looking at it, I would not associate that with emotion either. But then listening to your explanation, a part of that sense of shame and guilt is judgment. One being that something's wrong with me. The other one is I did something wrong. So one is of the self and one is of the action. But I know that like when we judge ourselves, oh my gosh, we give ourselves like the 3rd degree compared to like how we judge other people. And just in the act of judging ourselves, how that breaks us down. What a hell of an emotion to feel in that midst of like judging. So yeah. Happy. I have been meaning to record a podcast episode on the topic of pursuit of happiness. Should we be chasing happiness or creating happiness? That's something that I really want to take time to write. Perhaps we can do an episode on that, because like that's a word that we just throw around loosely, happy, and don't even know what happy means for us individually. We just absorbing what happiness supposedly looks like on TV or on social media, that we just associate everything with that. And I realized that when I lacked, I was happy. When I had, I was happy. When I was pursuing, I was happy. And when I wasn't even thinking about nothing, I was happy. And it's all about your mindset and how you create that for yourself. And how freeing is it to realize I don't need to chase happiness. I just need to be happy. I need to create my happiness. Same thing with money. I don't need to chase the bag to be happy. Like this woman on Instagram, the vegan Eve, said, I am my own natural energy yield, meaning I don't need the fiat money. I create opportunities to make income. Kind of think about the barter system. And when she said that helped me to just chill and realize that my provision is going to come because God is the owner of my provision, and that I don't have to pressure myself to get fiat money, get people depositing stuff in my account. I'm going to get the bag. And when I realized that, I stopped chasing that as a happiness, and it helped me feel great.
I feel that, yo. I watched this documentary, I think 2-3 years ago, probably. I think it was called Happy. I think it was just Happy on Netflix. And they were talking about how we are always in pursuit of being happy, but happy is it's like a drug. It comes and it goes. It's literally fleeting. So I love that you just said instead of chasing happiness, create it. Because if we're radiating that, it's not gonna be there and be gone. It's within us.
Exactly.
It is us.
That's another reason why it's so important to start teaching people to feel, because when you have gone so long without understanding the purpose of feelings and how to process through them, you'll be ready to off yourself, because the intensity of those feelings. I have been through moments where I was so anxious, so stressed out, felt like the walls were caving in on me, and I felt like the only way I could get some form of liberation is if I jumped out the window. No, I didn't want to jump out the window, but in my mind, I'm like, if I don't get out of this space, I'm gonna lose it. And I wasn't thinking in that moment that this is just a moment. This is not eternity. This feeling is going to pass. And to just start to get myself out of that instead of just trying to stay in it. Too many of us are not realizing how fleeting emotions are, that we try to make it a permanency by making permanent decisions that causes some deep consequences. Sometimes it's unliving ourselves. Sometimes it's killing somebody and going to jail, robbing, stealing, whatever. And it's emotions that are motivating the behaviors that we make, that we perform.
Ooh, that topic is always heavy for me. That's real. Yo, thank you for sharing that, because that's why I think it's so important for people to develop a practice. It's not about I'm healed. I'm never gonna have these thoughts again. That's not what it's about.
Right.
It's about being able to have the tools in place so that when you get there, you can pull yourself out, or something can pull you out that's been in place. And that, I think that when I was deeply angry and depressed when I was probably middle school age, and that out for me was my journal. I didn't go deep into my mind and let things cycle, because I released it, and I didn't know I was doing that. But there's some scary stuff in my journal from that age, some scary stuff. And that anger came out. Yours too? Yo.
Yeah.
That anger came out in interesting ways. But I'm so happy. That was a blessing to be able to release it there, instead of doing something that would be a permanent solution to this temporary fleeting feeling, Right. So that's such a heavy topic. And I think if you want to, maybe that could be another podcast episode. But there's a lot of people that I'm noticing and in my network who are making that permanent decision. And it's hard for me to kind of even be able to, I feel like I don't know how to help somebody in that situation, especially when that person is closer to me in my heart. It's scary. It's scary to even speak with people about.
Yeah, going back into that, when I mentioned about feeling like a superwoman, a lot of that superwoman mentality that I developed with being an empath was because when I was in school, I had people come to me when they were really considering committing suicide, And because they chose to come to me, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what is it that I can say, what is it I can do that could help them to change their mind. By the grace of the Most High, none of those people actually did it. But it took a teacher telling me that all you can do is be there for them. You cannot change their mind, but just be there for them, impart good words to them. And, they're ultimately going to make their decision. And her just telling me that, like, while I knew it was a reality, it didn't make me feel any better. But last thing I'll say about this topic, because it's kind of like going into a whole different topic, is what really sparked me to go to therapy and to really tap into my emotions was the shocking death of the Chesley Christ. And how people were like, she was always happy. She was this, she was that. She was a formerly Miss America, Miss USA.
Oh, more recently. Yeah.
More recently, yeah. And so it's so many strong friends or sunshine friends around us that are suffering, and they do things like that kind of throw you off guard. And it's like, while I pray that I will never make that decision, before I even get close to having those ideations, I need to get the help, because I'm the sunshine, strong friend for so many people while I'm going through my own stuff. And so I said, I've been thinking heavily about her. Let me get help myself. And I'm glad that I did. I had been stewing and procrastinating on it, but she just was on my mind so heavily that I'm like, nah, let me get the help for myself. And yeah. Feel your feelings, people, and get your support system. That's the most important thing, though. Support system. Because yes, I applaud myself, I applaud you, I applaud other people for being able to feel by themselves. But honestly, sometimes those feelings get too deep. And just to have that support system makes the processing experience bearable. So definitely find your circle, find your people that will support you and will be of good counsel, and do the feeling process with them too, because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing it with my therapist. So I do it with my spouse. I do it with, some people in my family. So yeah, don't do it by yourself, because I can attest that it does get very overwhelming.
I'm glad you said that too, because as Black people, we're communal people. It takes a village. So I know one thing that I want to get started, and if you want to join me in it, that would be dope. But I want to create groups, whether online or in person eventually, or certain times a year, to be that community for Black people to come together. And I actually just completed a training to be able to do that. So it's the organization from here. But if you're listening to this, hit me up if you are interested in something like that. We can get it started immediately, because that's just a Zoom call, just like this. And of course, Key, if you want to be involved as a facilitator or as a group member, because it's just one and the same, we can do that. But yeah, I believe that especially nowadays, like you said, it's not about working it out alone. That's not us. We've tried that and it doesn't work. So before we kind of fall into what doesn't work, let's just try something different. That's how I see it. And for our people nowadays, we need to be together, especially after COVID. Like, I'm tired of just sitting on the computer. But at least if I'm on, I could be in a group full of people doing something positive or having a positive conversation like this.
Exactly.
Instead of on there, oh, well, what about this? And well, 50 Cent is fat.
Exactly, because I don't know, I have immense resistance to social media right now because it just doesn't feel good to me. And it's every day is like a tug of war of deciding, am I going to continue to show up, or am I going to just completely retire? I've been on it since I was 12, so I feel like I should retire, but I have online business. But it's so noisy, and when you're going through stuff and you are absorbing all that noise, it's a perfect time to say, well, how can I diet from social media? You think about dieting with food, but we can also diet in how we consume information, how we consume just external stimulation, and social media is definitely something that should be on a regimen.
Yeah, that's facts. That's real. It's scary, not scary, but it's interesting nowadays how they're trying to make you live online and live on social media, especially Facebook is meta, whatever that means. But I'm respectfully clocking out of the metaverse. I'll deal with social media. Journey will be on the metaverse, my baby girl. I'm good. But yeah, now it's wild. I think there's a necessarily balance, like what you said. We gotta put a regimen in place, keep it, but value that in-person contact and in-person experience, because that's what's never going, no matter what happens with your data, that's never going to go away. That's right here. It's in your heart always. And yeah, so it's been a wonderful conversation, definitely over time. I forgot I have a training at 8, but it's all good. But I want to allow you to end on any last words that you have to say. If you could give advice to anyone right now, what would it be?
For the person out there that knows that they have feelings and emotions but don't know where to start, journal. Find your support system. Healing is something you can do cool by yourself, but it feels so much better when you do it with someone that you trust, or with a group that you trust. And you're listening to 2 life coaches having a very thorough, vulnerable conversation about feelings. Reach out to one of us to support you along your journey of processing and feeling and healing and all that wonderful stuff. We're here to support you. We've been where you are. We're continuing to put ourselves on our own healing journey. So if you resonate with us, we resonate with you, and we want to help you. We've fallen and scraped our knees so that we can cushion your fall.
Facts. And don't forget to hit up Keyona. I'm gonna put all your information in the description of wherever this is, and in the video I'll make sure to put your Instagram and everything up too. But don't forget to hit Keyona up, get your vent session in. Yes. She will let you just lay it out on her, like she said, and she is there for you. And don't forget that I'm here as well for you. Those people who feel alone, who feel like you're not heard, I want you to know you are heard. I want you to know that you are seen. I want you to know that you are felt, and your soul, your spirit is important. So share it. Share your light, share your spirit, share your soul, and you're not forgotten. So that's my message to you. And thank you, Key, for coming on. I was excited to speak with you finally, and I hope to have more conversations too.
For sure.